Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. 50 years ago this month, Columba McVeigh was taken away by the IRA. He was murdered and his body was disappeared. His family are still searching for Columba's remains. 2 years later, Captain Robert Nairac, the same. Before that, we know about Jean McConville, a widowed mother of 10, disappeared by the IRA. Eventually, many years later, their family was reunited with her remains. The people who carried out those tragic murders, those despicable war crimes, would be, if the party opposite had their way, free from any concern, free from prosecution. Yeah. Majella O'Hare was 12 years old when she was shot by a British soldier on her way to chapel in Armagh. Same goes for Majella. Patsy Gillespie was tied to a van, chained to a van by an IRA unit, made to drive a van with a bomb in to an army base in the Buncrana Road in Derry. Patsy was killed along with 5 other soldiers. The people who murdered Patsy and the 5 soldiers free from prosecution if it was up to the members opposite. I have to say, Madam Deputy Speaker, as I sat with the families of Bloody Sunday in a court last month and looked at their devastated faces after 53 years of them searching for justice, I expected better from some of our leaders and some of our politicians. I didn't expect tweets with the parachute regiment insignia on it being put out by senior members of this House. I didn't expect fulsome support for Soldier F from other senior members of this House. Let me just put on the record, because it's important, because it seems to me that lots of people who talk about Bloody Sunday never actually bothered to read the Savile inquiry. Savile inquiry that, of course, was set up by a British government, led by a British judge, supported by subsequent British Prime Ministers. Soldier F, by his own admission, killed 5 people on Bloody Sunday. He killed Michael Ray, he killed William McKinney, he shot James Ray in the back, and while James Ray was lying face down on the floor in Glenfada Park, Soldier G came over and finished him off, standing on top of him, shooting him in the back. He then shot Paddy Doherty, and Paddy Doherty was crying out that he didn't want to die alone. So Bernard McGuigan crawled to him waving a white handkerchief. What did Soldier F do to Bernard McGuigan? What did Soldier F, I'm going to finish this. What did Soldier F do to Bernard McGuigan? He shot him in the head, killing him instantly. He then tried to kill an Italian journalist who was looking through a window in the Glenfada Park flats, or the Rossville flats. He shot 6 bullets into that window, and by a miracle, Fulvio Grimaldi survived. He then went on to pervert the course of justice by lying through his teeth, claiming that 4 of the people that he shot, who were innocent civilians, they were proven to be innocent civilians subsequently, that they were engaged in riotous behaviour. Then he went to Fort George Army Base, where the people who were arrested on that day were being held. He assaulted several civilians, including a Catholic priest, Terence O'Keefe. He then stood a 16-year-old boy, Dennis McLaughlin, up against a gas blow heater until he fainted and collapsed. What did he do then? He kicked him to his feet, and he asked the young fella, did he want a drink? When the young man answered he did, he spat in his mouth. A few months later, he went to the Shankill Road. Something you don't hear, by the way, from unionist politicians. He went to the Shankill Road on the 7th of September 1972 and admitted shooting a Protestant man called Robert Johnson. He lied again, saying that Robert was a gunman. He wasn't a gunman, and the coroner's court made that absolutely clear. Robert Johnson was totally innocent as well. I have never once heard a unionist politician or anybody in this House stand up for Robert Johnson and the other man that was killed on that day. I will.
Is the honourable member saying to this House that the person he has just described, Soldier G, that his evidence, he has described him as a liar and a perjurer, should have been used to convict Soldier F? Does the honourable member not accept the verdict of our court? He appeals for justice. Our courts have given a verdict in Soldier F. Does he accept it?
And the Bloody Sunday families accepted the verdict. because they made the point that was absolutely clear. Between 1970 and 1974, the British government, the British Army, the Royal Military Police and the RUC were engaged in a cover-up of mass proportions, where any single member of the British Army who was arrested was questioned without legal representation and not under caution. That meant that any of those cases were doomed before we even got started. What I am laying out in this House today, and the member might not like it, whether or not there was a conviction in the court, I am laying out the truth, not as I say it, but as Soldier F admitted it, and as what was found by an international inquiry of truth that was set up by this government, and accepted, of course, by this government, accepted by the Prime Minister Cameron. When Prime Minister Cameron said what happened on that day was unjustified and unjustifiable. But then what we see is the British government, the MOD, paying at least £4.3 million to defend somebody whose actions they knew were unjustified and unjustifiable. That is the truth. That is the fact. He got far more legal representation than anybody would under legal aid. And if anybody wants to check those figures out, they're available for all to see. What has happened in this debate is that people don't seem to be able to come to the simple fact of the matter that every single murder was wrong, whether it was committed by the IRA, whether it was committed by the British government, and not one single person should be free from prosecution. They shouldn't be allowed impunity. And those people who stand in this House and talk about how great the British Army was and how much they care about the British Army, why then, if that is your position, why then are you accepting and supporting people who committed mass murder?
How many times do I have to remind colleagues? There isn't much time left.
Why then are those members supporting people who, by their own admission, murdered innocent civilians who should be seen by anybody in this House as citizens of the United Kingdom? The hypocrisy that has been on display in this place many times, everybody can see it. And I know many people in this House served in Northern Ireland. Well, there's lots of people at home watching this who live in Northern Ireland and are sick, sore and tired of this. If this legislation has any chance of giving people some trust, some truth and some justice, it should be allowed to proceed. We, of course, have issues with this. We have issues around the national security parts of this and the issues around sensitive information, and we put proposals and amendments to that regard in the process as we go on. But we have to give this a chance. We have to give our victims